Hello again, and welcome to Writing Sentences 2, where we will be including the letter L. And our sentences build into a story called It's Too Long. First, we are going to take a look at the long vowel spelling choices that we have covered so far. We're going to be using the markers on our hand. The tip of our finger or thumb and the lines that we can see from where we bend our fingers or thumb. The very last joint on a thumb is right here, down just above your wrist. Means you can move your thumb to touch your little finger if you wanted to. And here's our first finger. Tip and first joint, second joint and the last joint. Tip of your finger, first joint, second joint and the last joint. And again. And again. So the joints on our fingers are in the same places. We're going to point to them and say the letters we need for each choice. Tip of our finger will be an open syllable. Then we have the first choice for that vowel in the middle of a word and the second choice. And right at the end, the choice we would write if we could hear a long vowel sound at the end of a word. Now, we haven't covered all of them yet. Let's take a look and join in with me to point to those joints. A is A when I hear it at the end of a syllable or all on its own. A consonant-y, first choice in the middle of a word. And we move on to E, written with a single letter E in an open syllable. So, all on its own in a syllable or at the end of a syllable. Written with a double E, if we can hear it in the middle of a word, that's the choice used most often. We will cover the second choice in the next lesson, and the third choice is E consonant E. Next vowel we have I, written as an I in an open syllable. I consonant E. I-G-H. O, written as an O in an open syllable. O consonant E in the middle of a word. And we move on to double O. Ooh. Or depending on the word we're saying. So these are the choices that we have covered so far. We will be covering the other spelling choices in our later lessons. Let's write our title. It's something somebody is saying. So we start with speech marks. And then it's. And what do we do if we've combined two words and missed out a letter? We need an apostrophe before the S. It's two. So this time it is double O. Long. And that exclamation mark. Because we could tell from the way it was said that whoever is speaking is not very happy. And here he is, very, very cross. "I can't spell that," said Leon. So he's not just cross, he's really frustrated at not being able to do something. Let's write "I can't" to begin with, and another word with an apostrophe. Speech marks again. I can't. We start with the word can and an apostrophe because we've missed out the O from not. Spell that. Sp. And then the O we hear needs a double L because spell is a one-syllable word with a short vowel sound. That, another exclamation mark, and we close our speech marks. But now we get to find out who said it. Said Leon. Said Leon. First syllable, Lee, an open syllable, Lee. Then we add the next syllable, on, and a full stop. And he carries on speaking. So we stay in the same paragraph. "It's too long and I can't listen to it." First we'll write "it's too long," but this time it isn't a title. So only one of the words needs a capital letter. Speech marks, and it's too long, but it's is the only word that gets a capital this time. It's. And our apostrophe for that missing I. Too with a double O, and long. And I. Can't listen to it. Can't, we've already written. The apostrophe for the missing letter. And listen, lis-ten would be our spelling language. Lis-ten. I can't listen to it. Cross the T and add an exclamation mark to show how he's feeling. And then we hear more of Leon's frustrations. I'm too old. I'm. Short for I am, so an apostrophe for the missing A. I'm too old. Old lady dog. And we need that exclamation mark. He stands and lifts his book and pencil. Let's just write the first words. He stands and. He, capital H, because it is a little word spelt like a syllable, we just have the letter E. Stands. We have that consonant blend st at the beginning and at the end and a suffix. He stands and lifts. Ft. And then again, suffix s. He stands and lifts his book and pencil. His book double O for that sound, and pen is the first syllable, and then we have sill, but it is a soft C. So what could we do to remember that soft C? Well, a pencil is like a round shape at the end, and we think about part of it looking like a round C. Pen, sill. Dot the I and a full stop. And there you can see the notebook and pencil that he picked up. And we can see that round shape that reminds us that the S we can hear is written with the letter C in pencil. No one is too old, said a very understanding voice. Let's start a new paragraph because it's a new person. Speech marks. And no one. No one. Oh, naughty elephant, was our strategy, is too old. Is too with a double O. Old. And a full stop. Listening to one bit at a time is a good plan, said Miss Ball. Let's start with listening. Lis-ten-ing might be your spelling language. Lis, capital L for the start of a sentence. Lis-ten-ing. And then we go back to dot the I, cross the T, and dot the next I to finish the word. Listening to one bit, to, and this two just has one O, one bit, at a time. At a, and then time we can hear I in the middle of the word. So I, consonant E. And the consonant we could hear, we needed the letter M. Is Does will I think fit on the page? And we'll go to the next screen for the last bit of the sentence. Good plan. Good plan. And we'll put a comma instead of a full stop because we are going to add, after the speech marks, said Miss Ball. Said Miss, one syllable word with a short vowel sound, so that S is written double S. Ball, one syllable word with a short vowel sound, so that ul is written with a double L. All. Leon sighs and sits. Leon. Lee is our first syllable, an open syllable, then on. Sighs has that IGH spelling choice. And sits. You can imagine, can't you? And then he sits down. He opens his notebook. I think he's ready to do some work. He a little word that's spelled like a syllable, so H-E, opens, with an open syllable at the beginning. His notebook. A note, we can hear O in the middle of a word, and it's O consonant E is a spelling choice. Book. Bad. Now this is the next thing that Miss Ball says. So speech marks. Bad. But she didn't sound cross, so we'll just put a full stop and close the speech marks. And we know it's her because it's in the same paragraph. Is that me or the first bit? Asks Leon. Is that me, comma, or the first bit? Or the first bit. And we've got the number 1 followed by ST as a way of writing first. And a question mark. He wondered if bad was being spoken because of his behaviour, but it wasn't said in a cross way. So maybe it was the first bit. Asks Leon. Asks Leon. And I think he's feeling a lot better. He smiles. he, and then we have smile, where we hear I in the middle of the word, and it's I consonant E, the consonant being L, so we write the letter L. He smiles as B, A, and D go into his book. Cross the T and then his book. I think he knows it is just the first bit of a longer word with more than one syllable. Down the line, because it's Miss Ball speaking again. Min, said Miss Ball. Speech marks. And for this sentence we will write a capital M. But I don't think Leon will when he adds it. Said Miss Ball. What do you think the word is? Bad, min. And Leon nods. As he adds M, comma, I, and N. And a full stop. The last bit is ton, isn't it? New paragraph, because this time it's Leon. Speech marks. The last bit is ton, and he's used a spelling language. Ton is ton, isn't it? Is not, but we have an apostrophe for the missing O. Isn't it? And a question mark. And then speech marks. Asks Leon. And there's a badminton racket. It is. Good spelling, Leon. Start with it is, and why is it down a line? somebody else is speaking. Good spelling, Leon. Good. Spell, and then we've added suffix ing. Leon. And close those speech marks. And we're going to go down again to a new paragraph. Leon adds is the best. Is the best. Now I have put a little inverted comma either side of is the best, so it stands out as something that Leon adds, but you don't need to if you'd rather not. And Miss Ball claps. Miss Ball I think she claps, not just because of his writing, but because he's been able to calm himself down and realise that he can spell badminton, thinking about it as one syllable at a time. He then adds, he then adds Leon is not insolent, which, as we learned in writing words too, is another word for rude. Leon is not insolent. Insolent. And then we have a comma because he hasn't finished what he's writing. So cross the T and let's put in that comma. He is splendid. Another word using syllables. He is splendid. Splendid. And and an exclamation mark, not because he's angry, because he is splendid. Close the inverted commas to show that that was what he was writing, and smiles. And a full stop. Well done. We have used a lot of different choices in this writing lesson. Now, how about we read it? After a smiley face. But Leon added to his work because he was proud of it. It's too long. I can't spell that, said Leon. It's too long and I can't listen to it. I'm too old. He stands up and lifts his book and pencil. No one is too old. Listening to one bit at a time is a good plan, said Miss Ball. Leon sighs and sits. He opens his notebook. Bad. Is that me or the first bit? Asks Leon. He smiles as B, A and D go into his book. Min, said Miss Ball, and Leon nods as he adds M, I and N. The last bit is ton, isn't it? Asks Leon. It is. Good spelling, Leon. Leon adds is the best, and Miss Ball claps. He then adds, Leon is not insolent, he is splendid, and smiles. Thank you for joining me and for working so hard. You are splendid too.